Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Visakhanitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Panebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Hayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Katanchana Smriti Asmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhave Vismriti Viparitam Shat Sri Chaitanya Namah Hare Krishna. So in our previous class, we completed chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. So today we will start with chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter entitled Transcendental Knowledge. So we are planning to cover from text number 1 to 15. In chapter 3, Krishna explained that lust covers knowledge and that ignorance binds us. He recommended karma yoga for attaining transcendental knowledge. Thus, after urging Arjuna to be transcendental with help of knowledge, he now explains what that knowledge is and how it received. Okay, so there are two parts of our discussion. The first one is that 1 to 10, verse 1 to 10, verses 1 to 10, transcendental knowledge about Krishna. As the supreme authority, Krishna spoke this knowledge earlier to Vivaswan and now speaks it again to Arjuna because he is Krishna's devotee and friend. Although Krishna is unborn, he comes into this world to re-establish religion, to protect his devotees, and to kill the demoniac. Anyone who understands this knowledge will attain love for Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead at the end of his life. Okay. So that first one. The second part of our discussion will be from text 11 to 15. So text number 1. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yoga Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Braha Manur Ikswakave Bhavit. Translation. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So the Gita was spoken by the Lord to Vivaswan at least how many years ago? So anybody would like to answer this question? How many years ago? At least the Gita was spoken by Sri Krishna to sun god Vivaswan. It is there directly on the purport. So I don't want to waste your valuable time. Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivaswan. A rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least 120 million and 400,000 years ago. So We continue to the Prabhupada's purport. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. So, human life, the purpose of human life is first of all to understand, to inquire about our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Narottam Das Thakur very beautifully sung. What is that? Say sambandha naijar brita janma gelotar se pasu boro durachar. So this is in the song entitled Nitai Pada Kamala. Yeah, Nitai Pada Kamala. So he mentioned say sambandha nahi jar brita janma gelotar. So if somebody gets a human form of life but doesn't utilize this opportunity to search, to inquire about our sambandha, relationship with Krishna, with God. Brita Janma Gelotar, Se Pashu Bhoro Durachar. So that person is Pashu, non different from the animals. Boro Durachar. Boro Durachar. Boro means big, great. Durachar means miscreants. So he is a big miscreant. He is a great uh, demoniac person if he doesn't utilize this human form of life to inquire about the relationship, our relationship with Krishna. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are, without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. So the Bhagavad Gita should be accepted as it is. That's why this Gita that we have, it is called as it is, because Srila Prabhupada gave his commentary not using his own mental speculation, but he take the reference from the previous acharyas, just like Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession, and it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god. Sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. I'm sorry, I have little cold. Krishna. So this transcendental knowledge is received through the disciplic succession. Many times Srila Prabhupada mentioned that don't think that you can jump directly to Krishna. It is nonsense, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, because nobody can approach Krishna. So Krishna is approachable by through his devotee. By approaching his devotees, Krishna can be approached without approaching his pure devotees. So we cannot approach Krishna. Just like we want to meet a great person, so there are so many securities are there that we have to pass through, and unless if we get some kind of recommendation, suppose that you want to meet a president, and then uh, you have somebody who's working very closely with the president, and you get a recommendation later from that person, then only you can approach the president and meet the president. Otherwise, you will be kicked out immediately from the palace, president's palace. So similarly, Sri Krishna also like that. So unless we approach his pure devotees, so there is no possibility of approaching Krishna. Text number 2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajar sayo vidu. Sa kaline hamahata yogo nasta parantapa. Translation. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. So Raja Rishayo. So actually the king should be possessing a quality of a rishi, It is called Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself that the cyclic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also there are so many editions of Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada mentioned that more than 200 editions of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. He mentioned this 50 years ago in English, but none of these commentaries actually able to create devotees, because the purpose of studying the Gita is to change our heart, to create devotees, actually to build our, not building because the relationship is already there eternally, to revive, yeah, that's the correct word, to revive our dormant relationship with Krishna. Yeah. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara, the cyclic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculation, it is simply a waste of time. So Srama eva hi kevalam. Srama eva hi kevalam. Dharmasvanustita pumsam visvaksena katha suya. Nautpada yadi ratim srama eva hi kevalam. So any performance of religious activities or studying of the Vedas, but if that does not help us to uh, Krishna Rati or invoking our attraction toward Krishna, then it is called Srama Evai Kevalam, simply a waste of time. So it is the duty of the king also, actually, the duty of the leader. Sorry, the duty of the leader to guide his dependents to the path of spiritual activity, spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. That's why the ideal king is that the Raja Rishi, just like Parikshit Maharaj, for example, Yudhishthir Maharaj. So these are Raja Rishi because they are guiding their citizens to be Krishna conscious. In the fourth canto, it is described that if a king, in the pastime of Prithu Maharaj, it is described, if a king does not engage his citizens in the service of the Lord, so the king should be responsible of 1/6, 1/6 of all the sinful reaction of the citizens. So that's a lot, 1/6, a lot. But if he's able to make his citizens into devotees, then he get the credit, 1/6 of the credit he gets. So like that. So ideal king is actually a devotee. Daivam Natasyanam. Namo Chayatya Samupetyam Rityum. So this is actually the main responsibility of the leader. Namo Chayatya Samupetyam Rityum. That is this as it is described by Rishabhadev Maharaj. Namo Chayatya Samupetyam Rityum. To deliver his dependent from the repetition of birth and death. So why does Krishna speak this sign specifically to Arjuna? So there is this question. Why? If we see amongst the Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was very, very qualified. And all of them, all the Pandavas, they are all Krishna's devotee. Why Krishna speaks this science specifically to Arjuna? So this question will be answered in the next verse. Yeah, here it is. Sa evaya maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhakto sime sakha cheti rahashyam hetadutamam. So this knowledge is rahashyam. Rahashyam means confidential. Yoga prokta puratana. It is puratana, ancient science. Because bhaktosi sakachi, sakachi, sakacheti. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So this verse also quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktu Sime Sakacheti Rahashyam Hetadutanam. So of course, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he possessed such a very elevated quality. He is the most sattvic personality among all the Pandavas. But because the principle is that you reveal something to somebody if that person is very, very close to you. So all the Pandavas, they are devotees, but specifically Arjuna, he is the closest friend of Lord Krishna. Just like you have some secret, or you feel so happy or you feel so sad, so the only person to whom you will tell all this, whether happiness or distress or whatever disturbances in your mind, for example, so you will tell this problem or whatever happiness in your mind, in your heart, only to a person that very, very close to you. You will not tell somebody who you don't trust. So similarly, Arjuna and Krishna, they are very, very close friends. So therefore, Krishna chooses Arjuna, not only because Arjuna is his devotee, but also his very close friend. So this is the eligibility of understanding this science, spiritual science. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. So, Krishna also interestingly mentioned in the later in the last chapter, actually in the 18th chapter, he mentioned idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kanachana na cha susrusamevacham na cha mam yogyasuyati. So Krishna mentioned na means no. Idam te na tapaskaya. So Krishna tells Arjuna that don't instruct the signs to those who are not austere. Idam te na tapaskaya. Na bhaktaya. Don't tell these signs to the non-devotees because they cannot understand. Na bhaktaya kadachana. Na cha susrusawe vacham. Na cha mam yogyasuyati. And don't tell the signs to those who are envious. So this is in the text number 67, chapter 18. But Srila Prabhupada mentioned that out of so many instructions that Krishna gives in the scripture, this is the only instruction that the devotees will not follow. Therefore, uh, devotees are devotee preachers. They are very dear to Krishna. They are very dear because they are taking the risk. Because when we instruct Krishna consciousness philosophy to those who are uh, having no respect to Krishna, so they will become a blasphemer, and we will be the cause of such a blasphemy. But because the devotee is more merciful than Krishna, the devotee is more merciful than Krishna, therefore he's ready to go to the hell to take this risk, But uh, just for the purpose of giving others Krishna consciousness. That's it. That's why in the 18th chapter also Krishna mentioned that the devotees, those who are preacher, very, very dear to Krishna. So this is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. So our Krishna consciousness movement is very simple. We haven't got to manufacture anything, any philosophy by research work. Krishna says, Yoga Prokta Puratana. We have to speak the same thing, the most very, very old Puratana. We haven't got to manufacture it. Nowadays, we have advanced in education and civilization. Therefore, we have to concoct some idea. So the science is actually very, 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 very old. Purana means very, very old. And we have to give it as it is. So we don't manufacture a new science, new spiritual science. No, it is already there. Our duty is just to carry the message. So we just like the postman, carry the parcel as it is. That is our success. Srila Prabhupada, in one lecture, he mentioned that we may have some defect in so many ways, but our only qualification is that if we are able to deliver the same message that Krishna gives in the scripture to the people, that is our success. So we may having some imperfections in so many ways, but if we just try to repeat the same thing, Srila Prabhupada said, that's actually the real preacher. I'm so sorry that I have a runny nose. It may look and sound very disgusting. Please kindly tolerate that. So, Srila Prabhupada, he mentioned also that one time Saraswati Mataji, the daughter of Shamsundar Prabhu. So Prabhupada said that even the small girl, Saraswati, she also can preach. So whenever people come to our temple, so people will be asked by Saraswati. So Saraswati used to ask people, do you know who is Krishna? And of course, they are newcomer, they don't know anything about Krishna. And they said, no, we don't know. And Saraswati just answered that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that incident. So preaching means we just deliver the same message. So we don't need to concoct something new from our mind, so-called intelligent, our so-called intelligence. We just repeat whatever is already there mentioned in the scripture. So that's real preaching. Text number 4, Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the signs to him? So it seems that Arjuna is doubting Krishna's statement because we can see also, we can assess that, sun god is by birth to Krishna. Of course, at that time, that period, Krishna's age, it is described that it's just about 125 years old. And Vivaswan is already, like very, very senior by birth to Krishna. Million years. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? So what is the reason that Arjuna is seemingly doubting Krishna? Because Krishna is taking birth as the son of Vasudeva, Jayati Janani Vasu, Devaki Janmavadu. So Devaki Janmavadu. Krishna is taking Janma, birth, from the womb of Devaki. So how we can understand this? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Arjuna is asking not because he is in ignorance, but he is asking on behalf of people like us in the future, of course. Future from that perspective, from Arjuna's time. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same supreme personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for ordinary man to understand. So Krishna is appear. Appear means just like when we appear from a room. So for example, now I'm inside the room. Okay, I'm already there. When I just come out from the door, it doesn't mean that I'm born from the room. I'm just appeared from the room. So that's the explanation. Krishna is Aja. Aja means unborn. This statement is given in the 10th chapter later by Arjuna. What is that? Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusam Saswatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vidu. So Ajam means unborn. So when Krishna seemingly taking birth is actually he just appeared. So he's unborn because he's already there. He's not taking birth. He's the father of all living entities. How can uh, he is the father of the living entities, now becoming a son of somebody, of his devotees, of course, because he wants to reciprocate uh, his devotees in different mellows. For example, like Vasudeva and Devaki, they have this rasa, Vatsalya rasa. So in order to fulfill that, Krishna is agreed to become their son. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. So Arjuna wants to hear directly from the highest authority, Sri Krishna, to confirm. Okay, text number 5. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So Arjuna is the eternal companion of Sri Krishna. So when Krishna appeared, Arjuna also appeared. Uh, when Krishna appeared as Narayan Rishi, so Arjuna appeared as Nara. So Nara, Narayan, they are actually Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Actually, this point is made, Srila Prabhupada will explain here, that no matter how great we are, this is actually the difference between Krishna and the living entities, God and the ordinary living entities. So God can remember past, present, and future. Of course, some stalwart devotees like Nard Muni, for example, he is given a benediction of three kalagya. Three kalagya means he can see past, present, and future. So, but that's very rare. So we will see Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero, he could not, he could subdue the enemies. He is unable to recall what had happened in the previous past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. You see, Krishna addresses Arjuna here as a mighty hero, uh, subduer of the enemy, a mighty hero. But however great he is, he still cannot remember what had happened in his previous life. Krishna is known as the Asama Urdhva. Nobody can equal or even greater than Krishna. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he mentioned that actually the The Mayavadi actually the greatest offender, the greatest offender. Why the greatest offender? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, because they want, first, they envy Sri Krishna. Of course, everybody in this material world, they are envious of Krishna. Otherwise, we will not be here if we don't envy Krishna. So first of all, the Mayavadi envy Krishna because he cannot tolerate Krishna's greatness. And secondly is that the Mayavadis, they wanted to be equal in the position with Krishna. They wanted to become God. They wanted to merge to Krishna. So nobody can become God other than Krishna. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the Mayavadis, they are the greatest offender because they wanted to be God, because they are thinking that God and I, actually, we are the same. Of course, it is there. Abheda means the same, but there is also Veda, Abheda, Veda Tattva, same but different. We are same in quality, but different in quantity. But the Mayavadis, they wanted to become equal in both ways, both qualities and quantity. So that is not possible because he is Asama Urdhva. Krishna is Asama Urdhva. Asama means cannot, nobody can be equal to Krishna. Asama. Urdhva. Urdhva means higher. Want to speak of becoming higher than God, higher than Krishna. So there is a question here. When Lord incarnate as Mahaprabhu, in which form Arjuna descend? So he descended as Ramananda Roy. There is actually one book called Gouda, what is that? Gouda Dipika, something like that. They are actually all the incarnation of Krishna. When Krishna appeared as Mahaprabhu, all the associates of Mahaprabhu, they are actually revealed who are there in their pastime during Krishna Lila, who are their who are their identity 5,000 years ago when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan. So, for example, like this Kalidas, there is one devotee in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. There is one devotee called Kalidas. So this Kalidas is actually in his previous life, 5,000 years ago in Krishna Lila. Actually, Kalidas is one of the tribal lady in Vrindavan forest by the name of Mali. So all the original identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates is there in that book. Gaura Gona Destipika. Gaura Gona Destipika. So Ramananda Roy, he took, Arjuna took his incarnation as Ramananda Roy in Mahaprabhu's pastime. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has 3.5, very interesting, 3.5 close associates. Okay, one is Ramananda Roy, another one is Swarup Damodar, the third one is Sikhi Mahiti, and then the another half is the sister of Sikhi Mahiti by name Madhavi Devi. Why considered to be half? Because she is in the body of a woman. So of course, internally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reciprocating with her, but physically, so they never had any contact. But Madhavi Devi always in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the book name is that Gaura Gonades Dipika. Gaura Gonades Dipika. Okay, we continue. Text number 6. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. He knows me yatha dehe. Kumaram Yauvanam Jara Tatha Dehantara Praptir Dirastatra. So our body keep changing. Kumaram Yauvanam Jara, from boyhood to youth to old age. And after this body is useless, Vasam Sijirnani Yatha Vihaya, just like how we change our dress at the end of the day. So that's how the soul transmigrates from one body to another body according to his karma and whatever he remember at the end of his life. Yam yam wapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kaleva. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his eternal potency. So Krishna, when he appears, he's appearing in his transcendental body. There is one explanation by Srila Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur regarding Krishna's body, regarding Krishna's body, that actually Krishna's body is eternal. Like when he's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and up to 16 years, and that's it. Krishna will not get older than that 16 years. So when he came in this Bhoma Vrindavan, so when he was, because it is described that Krishna doesn't affected by time factor, whereas the living entities, I mean like the material body is always affected by time, but Krishna's body does not affected by time. So when Krishna becoming older in his pastime in Bhoma Vrindavan, so actually already there, this Krishna in the spiritual world, he expanded himself into this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years old boy. So when he come to the second year of his pastime, so this Krishna, 1 year old Krishna, returned to the spiritual world, and then at night, the 2 years old Krishna came down. So like that. I found it interesting. So his body is eternal, transcendental, does not change, does not affected by time. So because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained like that, because sometimes we may argue that Krishna also affected by time, right? He's growing, and he's becoming older and older. But that was the explanation. But when he reaches 16 years old, that's it. He will not become older than that in appearance. Yeah. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. So this Krishna appear in Vrindavan is actually the original Krishna. It is the original Krishna. Krishna appears in his original form once in a kalpa, in 1 day of Lord Brahma. Once Krishna will appear. So we are actually very, very fortunate that let's have a look into this. In one kalpa, there are 14 manus. Okay, in one kalpa there are 14 manus. In one manu there are 71 divya yuga. Okay. So one divya yuga consists of the 4 cycles of yuga: Satya, Dwapara, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. This is called divya yuga. So 71 times of this divya yuga consists of one manu. Okay, and in 1 day of Brahma there are 14 manus. Okay, and Krishna just appeared in our Kali Yuga. In our planet, in this Divya Yuga that where we are in. This is actually we are situated in the 7th Manu and on the 28th Divya Yuga. On the 28th Divya Yuga, in the 7th Manu of Brahma's day. And Krishna just right there appeared in our Divya Yuga 5,000 years ago. So how fortunate we are actually. It is very rare opportunity to have Krishna directly visiting uh, this earth, this universe, exactly in this Divya Yuga. Although we are now situated in Kali Yuga, well, at least 5,000 years ago is according to the comparison of eternity. It is very close actually. It just 5,000 years ago, and Krishna appeared in his original form, Shama Sundar form. This is the original form of Krishna. Okay, text number 7. This is a very famous verse. Yada yada hidarmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adarmasya tadat manam srijamyaham. Translation. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord Himself to Brahma from within His heart. So, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. It is there stated in the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam that before the creation, so Lord Krishna imparted all the Vedic knowledge into Brahma's heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya, in Brahma's heart. Hridaya Adi Kavaya. So Adi means in the beginning. First of all, Brahma received this transcendental knowledge. And this knowledge, religion, this Dharma is only created by Krishna. Dharmam tu saksat bhagavat pranitam navai vidur risayuna pidevaha nasidhamukya ashura manusya kuto nu vidya dara charana daya. This is in the 6th canto. Prabhupada referring in his purport of this verse actually from the 6th canto, where Yamaraj giving the instruction to the Yamadutas. So what is the real Dharma? Real Dharma is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Dharmam to Saksat Bhagavat Pranitam. Saksat means directly. So Saksat Bhagavat Pranitam, created directly by the Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. Now why we do Risayona Pideva. It is not created by the rishis, by the devatas, by the asura, by the manusya, by the human being, by the charanas. No, it is created only by Krishna himself. Therefore, whenever there is declination in religious practice and fake religion start to appear, so Krishna will appear and establish the principle of dharma. So text number 8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So Krishna will come again and again, just to perform these 3 activities, whether all 3 together or 1 or 2 of them or even 3 of them. But it is described that the primary purpose of Krishna's appearance is that the first one, Paritranaya Sadhuna, just to have a loving reciprocation, loving dealings with his pure devotees. Prabhupada explained that if Krishna wants to kill all these demons like Kamsa or any other demons, Hiranyakasipu, Hiranyaksha, actually by his will, by Krishna's will, Krishna can destroy all of them at once within a second. But because Krishna, he wanted to meet his devotees, that's why Krishna appeared. Krishna takes his appearance because he wanted to meet his devotees. That is his primary purpose of why he comes here. For example, like great demons, because the great demon, they are the great demons, they are situated in this material universe. So it is automatically when Mahavishnu inhale, so the whole universes, billions of universes, will get destroyed. So automatically, those who are situated within the universes will also get destroyed. So it's just a second job, a second, well, job. Let's say job. Of course, Krishna also performs some work to maintain this universal affairs. But if Krishna wants to kill the demon, he just do it by his own will. But his primary purpose is that the first one, paritranaya sadhunam, to meet his devotees. As far as this is Prabhupada, as far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha-avatars, Guna-avatars, Lila-avatars, Saktya-Vesha-avatars, Manvantara-avatars, and Yuga-avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primal Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. This statement is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Ite chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indradi Vyakulam Lokam Vridayanti Yuge Yuge. So this is from first canto, third chapter, text number 28. Ite amsa kala pumsa. So all the incarnations, actually Krishna's amsa or portion, plenary portion, whether they are portion of the plenary portion or plenary portion of the plenary portion of the Lord. That means that like Krishna expanded himself as Balaram, from Balaram appeared the Chaturvyuha, from the from the first Chaturvyuha appeared second Chaturvyuha, from the second Chaturvyuha appeared the three Vishnus, Karodakasai Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Kshirodakasai Vishnu, and actually all these Dasavatars, actually the incarnation from the Kshirodakasai Vishnu, because whenever the demons attack the demigods will go to Sweta Dweep. Sweta Dweep is situated in this material covering universe. It is there, Sweta Dweep. So they pray, actually, the Sweta Dweep is the place where Kshirodakasai Vishnu residing, and this Kshirodakasai Vishnu expanding himself into unlimited as the Paramatma. So the 10 avatars, actually the incarnation, the manifestation of the Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So all these avatars, they are the partial incarnation of Krishna. Yeah, whether they are directly Krishna's expansion or expansion of the expansions of Krishna. But Krishna is the fountainhead. Therefore, Krishna is not an avatar, but he is known as the avatari, the source of all incarnation. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. Indra Ari. Ari means enemy. So Indra Ari. So when the enemy of Indra or the enemy of the demigods creates some disturbances, so Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. Krishna appears again and again. Text number 9. Janma karma chame divyam evam yuveti tatvataha tyaktva dhyam punar janma naitimam etiso juna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, if we know the divine appearance of Lord Krishna, uh, his activities, his appearance and activities are divine. So, our ticket is purchased. Our ticket, our visa, our passport are awaiting for us to take us, and our plane awaiting for us to take us back home, back to Godhead. So, what is the purpose of studying the Bhagavad Gita or studying the Srimad Bhagavatam or any Vedic literature? Is actually to understand this Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Krishna's birth and activities are Divyam, transcendental. Vedais Chasarvair Aham Eva Vedya. The 15th chapter later we'll see that the purpose of studying the Vedas is to understand Krishna, to know Krishna. Vedais Chasarvair Aham Eva Vedya. Yoma meva masamuno janati purushottama sasarvavid bhajan temam sarva bhavena bharata. This is 15.19 Bhagavad Gita. Yomam eva masamuno. Those who are not bewildered, masamuno janati purushottama, and know that actually Krishna is the purushottama. Everybody is acting as Purusha in some capacity, some way or other. We are claiming to be Purusha, controller of something in this material world. But Krishna is the Purusha Uttama, is the topmost controller. So those who are not bewildered understand that Krishna is the supreme controller. Janati Purushottama Sarsarvavid. That means he Sasarvavid, he knows all the Vedic literature. Sasarva, Sarva means all, Vid means knowledge. He knows everything. Bhajan Devam, and he worshipped Krishna. Bhajan Devam, he worshipped me, Krishna says. Sasarvavid Bhajan Devam, Sarva Bhavena, and how he worshipped Krishna? Sarva Bhave, using his love, full hearted. Bhava means actually feeling or aesthetic aesthetic feeling toward Krishna, and that is love. Sarva Bhavena Bharata. So using all his love, devotion, worshipping Krishna. So that is the purpose. Uh, Therefore, Krishna actually ended the Bhagavad Gita 15 chapter by saying, Iti guhya tamam sastram idam uktam maya naga etad budva buddhimansyan krita kritascha bharata. Krishna says to Arjuna that now this guhyam, sacred, this sacred, this sacred knowledge, transcendental knowledge, which is actually very secret. So this knowledge is a sacred thing. It is divine thing, sacred, and this sacred thing is a secret. It is something that is very confidential. Iti guhya tamam sastram idam uktam mayanaka. So Krishna says that now everything is already told by me to you. This is very confidential. So that is devotional service to Krishna. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, You are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. Yeah, so there is a question here by Nagarjun Prabhu. Is the same Kshirodakasai Vishnu stays in our heart as Paramatma? Yes, he is the same person. That is, the Paramatma is the expansions of Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So this is the magic, I would say, the magic that can be performed only by Krishna. So he can enter into everybody's heart, but yet at the same time, he remained in his island, Swetadvip, in a white island. Sweta means white, in a white island, Swetadvip. So he expands himself into unlimited numbers. Yet at the same time, he remained in his place. So this magic can be performed only by Krishna, not by others. Just like how he expanded himself into 16,108, 108, just to present in each palace in the front of his wives. So like that also, he's one, but he can expand himself into unlimited numbers according to his desire. Yeah, so this Paramatma, but the Paramatma is actually none other than Ksirodakasaya Vishnu. Were there any other questions before we move ahead? Okay, if you have, you can just write in the chat. That's fine. That's actually better. So I will not get interrupted and forget what I should say. Okay. Krishna is explaining how one can how one can very easily enter into the spiritual world or the kingdom of God. The simple formula is that anyone who understands the appearance, disappearance, activities of the Lord as divyam, transcendental, with perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, simply by understanding, one can immediately enter into the spiritual kingdom. The whole thing depends on our surrendering process and engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. Then gradually the Lord reveals to the devotee. That is the process. So it is described in the 11th verse of this chapter. So according to how much we surrender to Krishna, how much we surrender to Krishna, so that much Krishna will reciprocate. So that much Krishna will reveal himself to us. That is the process. Yeah. So Srila Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that such a devotee becomes free from matter even before leaving his body. So when we have this understanding, when we know the truth that Krishna's janma and karma, his birth and activities are transcendental, so actually we are already liberated, although we are still in this body. Jivan mukta sa uchate ihaya shaharedashe karmana manasa gira dikila swapyavasta sujivan mukta sa uchate. So we are already liberated, although we are still in this material body. So knowing Krishna's janma as divine or Krishna's karma as divine is not simply knowing, but we surrender to Krishna. We surrender to Krishna, we perform devotional service. Because Srila Prabhupada also mentioned in many of his lectures, actually, or even in some of his purport also, regarding the professional reciters of the Bhagavatam. Like here in India, it is very common that many people are organizing what they call as Bhagavad Saptaha. So many people, the expert reciter of Bhagavatam, so they are immediately jump to the 10th canto, the most confidential pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. So they don't have faith, Prabhupada said. They simply doing this for the sake of material gain. So they know a lot of Krishna's pastimes, but they don't really understand actually uh, who Krishna really is, because you know they may expert in reciting the pastimes of Krishna, but they don't have really faith to Krishna because they don't engage in Krishna's service. Therefore, bhakti, the root word of bhakti is actually bhaj. Bhaj in Sanskrit, bhaj means service, to do something. So bhakti is not simply oral, it's not simply a word. Just like when you love somebody and you say, okay, I love you, I love you. But if you don't accompany that word, that I love you, with some uh, activities to prove it, so there's no meaning of this word, I love you. So similarly, when we say Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, uh, He is our master. So we have to act accordingly. We are the servant, so we act what a servant is supposed to do, to serve the master, to do something for Krishna. That is called bhakti. Bhajate, bhajate, it's to perform service. Therefore, Prabhupada translated bhakti as pure, loving, devotional service. So it's not only love, but also service. Service with love. That is bhakti. Then only we can be liberated from matter, even while living in the material body. Text number 10. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Purport: one has to get rid of all these stages of material consciousness, attachment to material life, fear of spiritual personal identity, and conception of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these three stages of the material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of Krishna, guided by a bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional service. So, three very important points here mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in this purport. The first one is that one has to take shelter, complete shelter of the Lord. Second, we need spiritual master and follow the rules and regulation in the Vedic scripture. Ride Hamadyam Sulavam Sudulavam Plavam Sukalpam Gurukar Nadaram Mayadukole Nanabaswate Ritam Puman Bhavabdim Nataret Saatmaha. So disgusting. His body is so disgusting. So, Nrideham Adyam Sulabam Sudurlabam. This body is very, this human form of life is very rare to achieve. Sulabam, Sudurlabam, Plavam Sukalpam. It is compared just like a boat. To cross the ocean, we need a boat. Plavam Sukalpam. Not boat actually, a ship. Boat is small, ship is big. Yeah. Plavam Sukalpam, Guru Karnadara. And the Guru, the spiritual master, is just like the captain of the ship. Guru Karnadara, Maya Nukulena Nabasvaterika. And the wind, favorable blowing wind, is compared just like the rules and regulation mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. That is Krishna's instruction. So these three things we have got now: human form of life, we get spiritual master also, we get the scripture like the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Nataret Saatmaha. If we don't utilize this opportunity to cross the ocean of material life, then Nataret Saatmaha. We are considered to be as a suicider, somebody who is committing suicide, Atmaha. So taking shelter, complete shelter of the Lord means to follow what he instructed us to do. Yeah. Prabhupada also describing about the stages from Sraddha to Prema. So you will see here. Actually, this is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So there are 9 stages from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha, and then Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Tatha Bhajana Kriya, Anatta Nivriti, Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and then Prema. So this is actually quoted from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is the reference of this ladder stages from Shraddha to Prema. I think I have mentioned earlier that Srila Viswanath Thakur explained that from Shraddha, Shraddha means faith, Sadhu Sangha, devotees association, Bhajana Kriya. What happened? Okay, let's analyze this one by one. When we have little faith, we start to associate with the devotees. So actually, Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, they are having mutual relationship, because in Sadhu Sangha, we can develop more faith to Krishna, to devotional service, to bhakti. And then as we are associating with the devotees will engage us in some service. This is called bhajana kriya. And then as we are performing some service, we get rid of some anarthas within the heart. We get purification. It is called anartha nivriti. And then when the heart is cleansed, and then we will attain nistha, or being fixed in some service, being fixed in devotional service. So from Shraddha to nistha, it is described just like we are climbing mountain. So Nistha is the top of the mountain. So from uh, bottom of the mountain, when we climb, it's really hard, right? To be fixed in devotional service, we have to put a lot of effort. But then Ruchi, taste, after we become fixed in devotional service, we start getting taste. Unless we become fixed, there is no question of getting Ruchi or taste. And then after Ruchi, Asakti develop. When we get taste, our attraction, our attachment to Krishna, it is called Asakti, attachment to Krishna develop. And then Bhava, start aesthetic symptom appearing in our body. Bhava is just a door uh, entering Prema. So Prema is the goal. So from Nistha to Prema, Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur explained that just like we are going down from the top of the mountain going down. So this process is like this. Yeah, going down. So from Shraddha to Nistha, we are going to the top of the mountain. We have to put a lot of effort. But from Nistha to Prema, it's just like very fast we will attain Prema once we fix in devotional service. Ruchi will appear, Asakti, attachment to Krishna will appear, Bhava. We cry, really cry. What is that prayer in Siksastakam? Saying that when will my eyes fill with tears when I chant your holy name, when the hair of the body is stand on end. How is that nice verse? Yeah. Anyway. In the Prema stage, there is constant engagement in transcendental living service of the Lord. Yeah. So by the slow process of devotional service under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage. Interestingly, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here the slow process of devotional service. But compared to any other processes, devotional service is the surest, the fastest way to attain Krishna. Why it is mentioned slow process here? Because we've been forgetting Krishna for millions of lifetimes. So to revive that is not very easy. So it is called some gradual process. It's not immediately once we chant Hare Krishna, we will get Krishna Prema. Of course, it is there, many evidence saying that once we chant Hare Krishna, our love will be revived immediately. But what does immediately mean? What does immediately means? In that immediate, there is a process also, gradual process. Krishna Prema, what is it? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Sravanadi Sudachite Karaye Udoi. So it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Krishna Prem, love for Krishna, is eternally invested in every living entity's heart. Sadhya Kabunoi Sravan Adi Sudachite Karaye Udoi. And this can be revived by the process of hearing. Sravanadi Sudachite Kare Udai. Sudachite means our heart becomes purified. Karaye Udai. And love for Krishna will be sprout up. That love, dormant love, will be uh, invoked in our heart. So that word immediately is not really immediately, but there is a process, gradual process, just like this. Why we are chanting in the beginning? Because we have little faith. So to attain prema from Shraddha, there is a gradual process. That's why it is called slow process devotional service by Srila Prabhupada here. Just like this verse we find in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that apichet suduracharo bhajante mamananya bhag sadur eva samanta vyak samyak vyavasito hisaha. So uh, a sadhu sometimes they act abominably, but if they even a sadhu act abominably, sometimes we see, but they should be considered to be a great person. The next verse, Krishna mentioned, Sipram bhavati dharmatma saswachantim nigachati kontaya pratijanihi nami bhakta pravashati. So this word Sipram bhavati dharmatma, Krishna mentioned that immediately he will be reinstated in his original position if he simply continue performing devotional service to Krishna. We may fall down from our practice, let's say like that, but if we continue chant Hare Krishna and try to follow the rules and regulation again, so Sipram Bhavati Dharmatma, immediately we will be reinstated in our position, fixed position as Krishna's servant. But once I heard a lecture by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he mentioned that this immediately does not really mean immediately, but there is a gradual process in that. Yeah, so that verse that I was asking, Yuga Yitam Nimesena Chaksu, Chaksu, the tears flowing from my eyes. Thank you. This is from Ananda Moy Goranga Prabhu. He messaged me personally. Okay, we continue. We have about 12 minutes maybe. Yeah, this is the second part of our discussion, 11 to 15. So Krishna as the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashram. After giving knowledge about himself, which leads to liberation, Krishna now explains how he is the ultimate goal of all paths and how everyone is dependent upon his mercy for attaining success. He has created the Varnashram system whereby men can fulfill their material desires and make progress toward liberation, but he is above this system. Text 11. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva vajamiham mama manuvartante manusya partha sarvasaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Purport: for those who are creative workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties, as the Yageshwara, and those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path, unless therefore one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect. So whatever we get, actually, it's all sanctioned by Krishna. It's all sanctioned by Krishna. Krini hivo phalaniti sruta stavaramachuta. Phalarti dhanyam adaya yayau sarva phala prada. So yayau sarva phala prada. Sarva phala prada. He is the giver of all fruits of our activities. Yayau sarva phala. Sarva phala prada. We may ask question. If Krishna, the Supreme Lord, gives a soul whatever he wants, why don't more persons surrender to him? Why don't more persons surrender to him? Why do they worship others to fulfill their desires? This is a question for all of you. Anybody would like to answer? Yes, Anandamoy Prabhu.
So I can try, Babu. Example like there's a good parents and bad parents.
Mm,
So the good parents, if the son desires something, they don't give. They see whether it's gonna benefit the child or not. But the parents, those who are not so, uh, you can not good in parenting, they'll give whatever child is asking.
mm,
Similarly, demigod just give you whatever you ask. It's just like a business. You fulfill the criteria to worship them, and they give you whatever you ask. They don't see whether it's gonna benefit or you or not.
mm,
Like even Hiranyakashipu asked for the benedictions, and Brahma gave. And Shiva like Shanei Tushtanti, Shanei Rushtanti. Immediately he's happy, immediately he's displeased. Yeah, he gives whatever and sometimes he boon demons, and demons were after him to kill him.
mm,
But Krishna, or when devotee asks something, so Krishna only give when he sees whether this will bring him closer to him or not.
mm.
This is my understanding. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much. That's actually the exact answer that we are looking for. Yeah, because people worshipping others other than Krishna, like the demigods, because demigods very easily please and they can award the desire that we want. So this is answer in the next verse. Thank you very much, Anandamoy Gauranga Prabhu. Men in this world desire success in productive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quick, quickly, of course, men get results from productive work in this world. Yeah. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or pasandi. That's Srila Prabhupada's purport. Even Sripad Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayan or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Hritagyan, worship the demigods because they want immediate result. You see, because the demigods, they are very easily pleased. The example also like Lord Shiva, as Ananda Moy Prabhu mentioned. Therefore, he is known as the Asutosh, very easily pleased. They get the result, but do not know that result so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent person. Therefore, it is mentioned, Kamai stai stai rita jnana, this verse 7.20, that's what Prabhupada quoted here. Kamai stai stai rita jnana prapadyante nya devata. So prapadyante nya devata. They surrender to the demigod. Kamai stai stai, because they have material desire in their heart. And then Harita Jnana. They are considered to be less intelligent. Actually, even if one has some material desire, still it is recommended to worship Krishna. What is that verse? Very famous in Bhagavatam. Akama sarva kamoa moksha kama udara tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham. So whether one is akama, having no material desire, moksha kama, sarva kamoa, having a lot of material desire, moksha kama, desire to get liberation. So tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Just worship Krishna, although it is a karma mishra bhakti, motivated, materially motivated devotional service, that's fine. But worshipping demigods, of course, it is much more easier than worshipping Krishna. Demigods will be pleased very quickly, and we get whatever we want from the demigods. But the result, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, it is temporary. The result is temporary and meant for less intelligent person. It is not only temporary, but the result is also limited. Antavatu, antavatu phalam tesam tadbhavati alpamedasam. Devan devaya jayanti yanti gayanti mam. So antavat means uh, temporary. Antavatu phalam tesam tadbhavati alpa. Alpa means little. So it is temporary, but also limited, very little, very less. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Manushyanam Sahasresu Kachit Yatati Sitaye. That verse in the 7th chapter we will find that can be compared like one out of million who are interested in Krishna consciousness. Text number 13. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Okay, just another 3 more verses and then we'll finish. It's already almost 8:30. According to the 3 modes of material nature, the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So Srila Prabhupada explained that there are 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and each of these actually influenced by the modes of material nature. The Brahmanas influenced by Sattva gun, Kshatriyas by Rajagun, Vaishyas combination Rajagun and Tamogun, Sudra in the modes of Tamogun. But it is interesting also. Later we'll discuss this in the chapter 14, chapter entitled The 3 Modes of Material Nature, that actually everybody in this material world, uh, because the gunas, they are having some competition, so nobody in this world will be always influenced by sattva gun or rajogun or even tamogun, because the gunas will competing, they are having some competition actually. So sometimes we are influenced by sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun, like this. But this is just the general picture, that those who are brahmanas, mostly they are always situated in the mode of sattva gun, and kshatriyas rajogun, like they are very passionate, they are getting angry very easily. But if we see like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he is a very sattvic personality, yet he is a kshatriya. So like that. The Varnashram system's purpose is to assist in elevating everyone from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. In addition, Krishna himself is always transcendental to the Varnashram system, despite the fact that he, while in this world, followed the prescribed duties of his Varna and Ashram. So Krishna is performing his Varna and Ashram perfectly. He becomes a great Kshatriya leader for the Yadus, and also he is a good Grihasta, providing whatever the necessity for his family, the needs of his families, giving attention to his wives. So he's performing all this to set the example. It is not that Krishna is bound. Krishna is bound. Krishna is bound by these rules. As Krishna mentioned here, Krishna is the creator of this system, Varnashram system. But Krishna is the non-doer. I mean, Krishna is aloof from this system. Of course, when we are talking about Varnashram, we are not simply talking about materialistic Varnashram, but we are talking about Daivi Varnashram. That Varnashram, that activities, according to our Varna and Ashram, in relation to Krishna. Therefore, it is called Daivi, as Srila Prabhupada used to mention. That this Varnashram is also very important because it elevate our consciousness to Sattva Guna. And from Sattva Guna, it's easy for us to become elevated to the level of Visuddha Sattva. Varnashram Charavata Purushena Parahuma. Vishnur Aradhyate Panta Na Anya Tato Sachara. This is also one of so many ways that we can please Lord Vishnu is by following Varnashram. So ultimately, Varnashram's purpose is that to please Krishna. Samsidir Harito Sanam Atapumbir Dvijas Krishna. Varnashram Vibhagasa Sonasthitasya Dharmasya Samsidir Harito Sanam. Just to please Krishna, Harito Sanam. There's a lecture here by Srila Prabhupada. So, beginning of human civilization is this Varnashram Dharma. The Vedic system is Varnashram Dharma. But Krishna consciousness is so nice. It is said in the Shastra, Ahubata Swapachato Gariyan Yajiva Veva Tatinamatuya. Even Swapacha, Chandal, dog eaters, if he learns from the spiritual master how to chant Hare Krishna mantra, he is Gariyan, he is glorified. Okay, what time is it? We have 2 minutes. Okay, text number 14. Just 2 more verses. Kindly be patient. There is no work that affect me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of it. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Krishna engages in many activities, but while acting, he is materially aloof and materially desireless because his activities are within the internal energy and are free from modes of material nature because his work is materially desireless. No reaction attach themselves to his work. So if we follow also like this, if we act karmani vadikarastim mufali sukadachana, ma karma pala hetu nurmate sangusva karmani, if we act just to as a matter of duty, we are performing our activities as a matter of duty, and whatever service we perform for Krishna, it's just for Krishna's pleasure. So in this way, we can be freed from the karmic reaction, and also by offering the result of our activities for Krishna's pleasure. That's how we can get free from the entanglement of karmic reaction, especially for those who are grihastha. For those who are grihasthas, like whenever we give some charity, dana, by giving dana or charity, actually our possession will become purified and will not bind us. Therefore, dana, giving charity, is one of the main duties of the grihastha by supporting the another 3 ashramas, the brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. The last verse, all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act to retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness, and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness following the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned here. So our only request is that if you want happiness, okay, everybody wants happiness, so kindly pay attention with this. So our only request is that if you want happiness, if you want to prosper, make your life successful, you must read Bhagavad Gita thoroughly as it is, as Krishna says. Don't try to misinterpret. Krishna means this, and Pandava means this, and this means this. Don't make this foolish rascal them. Take as it is, Bhagavad Gita. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'll stop here. Whether any last comment or question, you are allowed to ask, to give your comments before I close this class. Hare Krishna. All right, it seems no. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Vanjakalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.